Hello my friends, how are you today? I'm Andreas from Motorfanatics, and for obvious reasons we're not in the workshop anymore. Today we're on a little trip. We're in the Netherlands, in Assen on the TT circuit. Today here is Yap Fest, or JapFest, however you want to call it. And there are a lot of very nice Japanese cars here and some other brands, some German, some American, but mostly Japanese and a lot of Dutch people because we're in the Netherlands. And we're gonna take a look, so let's go.
So come with us, friends, take a look around, take a stroll around the infield and the paddocks, and have a look around and on some awesome cars. Let's go!
Heads up, we are still walking, still talking, and there's still even more cars. And more noise. Behold, guys, Dutch ingenuity. The last preparations for the track are still running, while the bleachers are still filling. And we got on top on the building, on the main track straight, and enjoy the overview over the still filling infield. We've seen some cars already which are pretty interesting. A few engine swaps, cars that have become exceedingly rare, like old Civics 200 SX, old Supras, old Skylines in general, Supras in general, MX-5 NA, a few Glancer, Suzuki Wagon Rs, GC8s, a Forester STI, a real Forester STI. There's some cool stuff. Let's see if we can talk to some of the owners. You can have any car you like if you like GTRs and your occasional Civic. And if you like GTRs, good news, they come in all colors and flavors. More outgoing or more the classic flavors like vanilla and chocolate. More exotic ones like, let's call it raspberry, or like zombie apocalypse defense squad. I don't know, it's missing the blood, but at least it has some warning lights, some decent discs, but it has a basic interior. What a shame. Still, great car, great corner if you like GTRs. Oh. Is it a real midnight purple one? That's the question. It doesn't really look like midnight purple. Not completely, not in reality when you're in front of the car. But I have to admit, it does look good. I probably would have preferred bronze rims instead of, they come in reality they come out as a little yellow, but still awesome. And we can even take a look under the bonnet without disturbing anybody else. So let's have a nice look. Oh, it's almost color matched to the wheels. Unfortunately, not really. But if you take a closer look, there's a logo.
Future me here, taking over from past me, correcting myself and preventing myself from talking some bullshit. The AMS Alpha logo. Indeed, this was the AMS Performance Air Oil Separator, which is a banger for round about 700 to 800 bucks. A lot of cars ran this setup because this thing really works. In addition to that, this car had a 800 horsepower kit, which means new turbos, new charge pipes, tile blow-offs and an upgraded intercooler. Most of the people run a bigger clutch pack because the clutch starts to slip around 750, 800 Newton meters, and it is strongly advised to use some more beefy internals. And here's another fine specimen of the R35 breed. Again, double tile blow-off setup, again AMS Alpha air oil separator. The little tank in the front is the AMS coolant expansion tank. Here the wind helps us lift the bonnet without touching anything. Unfortunately, the driver had no time to talk, he was preparing for something. I didn't want to disturb him, but as you can see, he put a lot of effort into design, put a lot of effort into the looks of it, and it probably boosts a decent amount of power. There was no builder's plaque anymore, so I can't tell you anything about that, unfortunately. But look at it, doesn't it look mean and cool? From the infield to the racetrack, where one of the first 8th mile drag sessions started. It was open for all, you had to register beforehand, but no matter the car you had, or even some motorcycles, you could go there and tackle yourself, your car, the time, and your opponent, of course. Get ready for some unusual races, unusual pair-ups, but for a lot of noise. Unfortunately, we don't have the times. First pair-up of the day, 350Z versus GTR. It starts with a bang, literally. Try to remember that Subaru. We're gonna take a closer look under the bonnet later in the video. But now, try to keep an eye on that yellow MR2. You won't regret it, I promise. There was no chance for the RX-8. Unfortunately, today was not everybody's lucky day. The poor guy in the Civic Coupe, at least to my knowledge, was the only failure to start, the only guy that couldn't run the drag race or the time attack he wanted to. And here is our friend in the Subaru again. It's not yet that we take a closer look under the bonnet, but he will have another go on the drag strip. And this time his opponent might be a little bit more difficult. As you can see, a lot of racers already had to battle with some minor problems or even heat-soaked engines. Later on, most of them drove with bonnets up. And yeah, as you can see, still a lot of people wanted to give it a go. I don't know who was the fastest, but that little Civic was the loudest, and that means something. And screaming VTEC and driving off in the distance he was. And here he is back, our special Subaru friend. And his opponent, the MR2C. So fingers crossed, you know I'm on the side of the Subi. Let's see.
These were the impressions of the first drag race of the day. My hearing is a little bit impaired, so we're now going back down in the paddocks and in the infield. Few like techno or Subarus, we've got you covered as well. There's plenty of Subarus. Blob-eye, Buckeye, Hawkeye, everything the heart desires. But funnily enough, mostly WRX. The occasional STI or WRX with STI looks, but mostly WRX. Didn't expect that. MR2s, of course, and the occasional classic Nissan, and a lot of MX-5 NAs. God knows why, but all the NAs that are missing in the rest of Europe have found their way to the Netherlands. Maybe I can get one or the other. Oh. And Honda, of course. The classic ones, why not? Nothing beats a classic. Although it's a Honda, I'm just kidding. It's cool because it's a classic. And a very nice Buckeye. And is it an STI? Could be. Could be. No DCCD. Momo steering wheel. So it's probably a WRX again. Oh yes, the rear brakes are from Subaru. So he has the Brembo as an upgrade in the front. Oh, he has a classic wing on it. Looks cool too. Look at that. Just walked by. We have probably found another ProDrive. At least he's got a ProDrive sticker. And rear brakes from Subaru. So it's, well, there have been ProDrive WRXs. No DCCD, obviously. But a few goodies. STI top mount intercooler. A pretty decent battery bracket. Cooling panels, but unfortunately the original water cooler, STI intercooler, and this dubious intake kit with some kind of heat shielding. And hidden over there, a boost controller. Anti-rattle can painted this alternator, because even the wiring is black. Well, as long as it works, more power to you. 370Z, lowered, different rims. Probably a wrap and some nifty carbon parts, front splitter, rear wing. GT86s, Evo 10. Even the Evo 10s, since they're not built anymore, have become exceedingly rare and expensive, prohibitively expensive. Not talking about Evo 9s. And of course, saying the word expensive, today what could be more expensive than an RX-7 FD? This one even spots a nifty V-mount setup. If you don't know, V-mount setup means intercooler and water cooler are positioned in a V to use the little bit of space RX-7 does give you. No pop-up headlights, unfortunately, which is kind of a disgrace. Original Volk T37 rims, some nifty carbon parts here and there, probably just covers. Of course, the classic rear diffuser. Back in the days, everybody wanted to have this diffuser. They put it underneath R33 Skylines, R34 Skylines, even under Supras. It was originally made for the RX-7, but people started to put it under every car they could get. And I still want it. Well, I want the whole car, let's be real. It's an RX-7. It's the Dorito Mobile itself. If you want to find out where the good cars are hidden, look for photographers. Because where the good guys are, the good cars are. And this MR2 white body certainly is a good looking car. As far as I remember, there have been from Toyota Racing Development a few original white body MR2s. But obviously, without looking under the bonnet, I can't say if it's a basic one, white TRD, or if it's a rebuild one. At least it has the big brake kit from Whitewood. It has a pretty stock interior, excluding the steering wheel, but it has the TRD 2000 GT badge, so it could be a real one. It could be. It should be. So guys, you now have one guess, where are we now? Any answers? Any takers? What do you think? It's pretty obvious where we are now. It's in the corner with the Fast and Furious cars. And somebody even put on a screen for the new movie and didn't remove the mouse, so we see the timer for the trailer. Obviously we have the R34 from the fourth part probably. These are probably all replicas. In the fourth installment of the movies they have used several GTRs and GTTs. Then of course the Eclipse does look pretty screen accurate even with the old seats, but doesn't have the correct belts, seat belts. Then the Supra, obviously without the yellow rollover bar. Suzuki's S2000 from the second part, and the RX-7 even with the ugly rims. But hey, the rest are pretty nice. And it would even take the RX-7 and replace the rims pretty quick. For once, it's probably a real V-spec. We've got the diffuser, we've got the rear bumper and side skirt add-ons, and we even got the famous and really, really expensive Nismo odometer. We can't say for sure because there are a few different options for the car that were available, but it seems to be a real one. Even if you remember the scene from the movie with the small blue button on the shift lever cover for the, was it GPS tracking? It probably was GPS tracking in the movie. And to our luck, one or the other, a few Supras are there, and where Supras, there's always power. This rather functional looking Supra spots some big tires. And that means we would be lucky if the bonnet was up. And it is. Here we go, guys. Unfortunately, since I'm not a 2JZ man, I'm not a Toyota aficionado, there's not much I can say. It spots a double fuel rail, God knows why. Probably for more fuel. It's the biggest turbo, like in the size of an old T88. Of course, the occasional big downpipe, a completely rebuilt charge kit. But unfortunately, no details, no news. It's flex fuel, because it has a flex fuel sensor. It can drive flex fuel if both fuel rails are in use. But the power, the specs, the details, I unfortunately don't know. From full force Supra to a classic. A GC8, plain white, rally spec, at least it looks the part. Very nice carbon parts, very clean car, left-hand drive, completely gutted with the cage, and fitting to a classic, the Apex AVCR and rev speedometer. And yeah, basic shifting setup, no fancy schmancy stuff. I'm missing the hydraulic e-brake. Suit dash or flocked, awesome car. I wish I could look under the bonnet. But again, the owner isn't here, so all we know is it has a front mount intercooler and that it looks hot. If you take a look at this comparatively old Subaru, you would be mistaken, but it is not as old as it looks. You wouldn't believe what the owner of this magnificent car has done to it. It's basically, as he said, a 2020 car. It's completely new. The first thing, if you would hold a ruler to your screen, would be these are 5 by 114.3 hubs. He swapped them. He has a JDM body, which means rear wiper. He swapped in and swapped it to left-hand steering, It has DCCD with the 6-speed, and if you look to the coolest part, in the engine bay, there's something wrong. There should be 4, of which there are 6, because it's a 6-banger. He swapped it. It's not as reliable as the SVX 3.3 liter, but it doesn't even weigh, half is a lie, but it doesn't weigh that much. Obviously, this car is purposeful built. He will participate in a drag just for fun. He kept everything. He made everything as clean as possible. There's no rust on the car to find. He redid the whole wiring, made a front mount intercooler kit for it, and obviously the turbocharger is anything but spec. It even rides on custom coilovers. And it's true JDM. It's basically an old shell with a new heart, but everything worked and everything fine. It can't get better than that. Thumbs up. So if you guys remember the RX-7 we've seen from top of the paddock, we were up there, somewhere there. Here it is, and like I said, it's not a Wankel engine, not a rotary. It has been Alice swapped with the Hardtech ECU, and the only thing that remembers that once there was a Dorito at heart is the valve cover cap. Having spoken about it, having seen it, an NSX just pops out in the crowd. Because speaking of rare, that's as rare as it gets. It even spots the NSX Type R bonnet. It has the pop-up headlights of the earlier versions, and it really does look cool. It has a little front bumper lip, little. It has some, yeah, it's not real carbon, it's probably foil. I don't want to touch it. You don't touch owners' cars. But what it has is a blower on top of the engine. This should spot the 3 or 3.2 liters V6 with VTEC, a bombshell engine even from the start, and with the cannonball blower, this thing probably rips. Now, the German in me wants to know, does it have TÜV? And it's even a left-hand drive one. It has a few carbon goodies on the inside as well. AEM gauges and pretty cheapo the 1-spec shift lever. It sports the classic Recaros. Oh yeah. I wish I could talk to the owner. It looks like a basic EU spec, or, well, EU sold. Nothing basic about an NSX. Yeah. Beautiful car. And he has even an Instagram handle. So look him up, subscribe to him, NSX Mike. Even you race cars aficionados will find something to love here. It can't get any more professional than this. Everything is to spec. Even the front windshield has been replaced with Lexan, any other glass as well, of course. You've got the tire wraps for heating. You've got the aero catches, the whole aero system. You've got the pneumatic jacks. You've got the completely gutted interior with an AccuSump set. So I'm assuming they don't run dry sump. If you want me to explain AccuSump in one of the next videos, just write it down in the comments. You even have, yeah, okay, it works. It's not the nicest job, but it works. They've covered the rear compartment completely, probably for a reason. It has a side pipe, of course, why not? And a humongous diffuser. And it has no bootlet. And that's why it's covered. Because it has been completely gutted and probably houses the radiator. So it's as race car as it gets. I was running around on the outer paddock, seeing this R33, I would say from the fenders in the rear, GTST, and yeah, it's probably a GTST. And at first glance, I thought the rear wing was on upside down because of the flaps on the side. But if you look on the wing profile, it's actually the right side up. It's a upside down plane wing to generate downforce instead of lift. I was really confused. It has kind of a look of the BR wing, but I must say I prefer the real BR wing and in carbon or in black. Other than that, it's a pretty clean GTST. Can't say anything bad. Stop tech brakes. Maybe the headlights could use a little polish, but the rest of the car, pretty awesome. Just moving 1 meter along the next great car, Evos. Now help me. I couldn't for my life find out if it's an 8, 9 or 7. I don't know. It has a big Brembo big brake kit, 6-piston, not the regular 4-piston calipers. It's left-hand drive, basic interior. It's a 5-speed. Again, Instagram handle. If you want to look it up, look it up. And it has a sticker of Goodwood 2019. So he probably was at Goodwood with the car, which is quite the way from the Netherlands. Really clean car, I like it. But what most surprised me was the sunroof. Didn't know this was available for Evos, because it makes it top heavy. Not that it's really that much, but it's not performance orientated. Talking about great cars in red, we are on a winning streak, an old first gen 300 ZX with big XXR wheels. The brakes are probably from the turbo version. It's a left-hand drive, probably the one that was meant for Europe. But that's not the red car that actually caught my eye. That was this clean facelift 200 SX with the brake kit from an R33 GTST or S14A probably, or could be S15. Stock facelift interior, but very clean. Facelift, I think these are the facelift seats. It's a real 200 SX, not a 180, not a 240, so Europe version. It has the kooky taillights, yes, and it has, oh, this sought after and expensive RPS 13 middle piece, let's call it a middle piece. And it's again from Germany. Who would have thought? And it has a dent in the back, oh no. Strut braces, club sport bar, fire extinguisher, and very, very clean. I like it. I really like it. Well guys, that's about it. Most of the people are leaving by now, and so we are leaving too. I hope you had a lot of fun, had a great insight how the JapFest on the TT Circuit 2023 in Assen was, and we got a welcome sent home with a little bit of noise, and that's how it's supposed to be. So if you like that, please press like, share and subscribe, and we see each other next week back in my workshop. Bye bye.